Okay, so yeah, so I had recorded something yesterday. It was a little bit of RFEF, a little bit of CONCACAF U17s. I was gonna re-edit it, and then this is what happens when you acknowledge a Monday, returns the favor and acknowledges you. John Herdman has left the Canadian men's national team position in lieu of a position at TFC as their manager, and so Canada doesn't have a men's national team coach and one friendly. Good thing we only have one friendly, eh? Yeah, I wish you guys can see my face right now. But anyways, so there's a lot to unpack here. We can look at the CSA and what more than likely led to it. We saw Herdman leaving crumbs moving forward. Now, unfortunately, those crumbs were also left in a situation where after Nations League final, where I think it's the worst we've seen him tactically. And he's talking about preparations and just funding and friendlies and whatnot. But, and I think for a lot of people, that'll leave a bit of a sour taste in their mouths. But if you look at Herdman and the time that he spent within this program, what he's done is, I'd say, remarkable. Uh, Josh Demi on Twitter put it out there like, what do you rank? What would you rank his time? And to me, I think it's fair where anyone can go. I think from World Cup moving forwards, there was a lot of, I'd say, a little bit of thought, right, in terms of questioning what he was doing. We saw his emotions get the better of him at the World Cup post Belgium and then going into the Croatia game. We will all remember that. We'll remember his tactics against the U.S. in the finals, and we'll think about his roster choice when you look at the Gold Cup. That being said, he was with Canada for 58 matches, the men's side, guided them to a 36-8-14 record. That can't be undone when he steps into that program. I mean, the disarray in it, we're looking at it as unattached FC and friends. And for where he took this program and the years that he was with it can't be understated. I think Canadians, I being one of them, will look back fondly of it. Kind of sad how it ended because there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's lack of funding, there's just lack of opportunity. There's a lot of things that go into it, and when you look at that, it does unfortunately leave a sour taste. There are some people who think it was time to make the move regardless. And that's the thing. In world football, you see movement, coaching movement a lot. Coaches, especially national team coaches, seldom stay more than one cycle. You have 1 to 2 cycles max. I mean, you don't always get a DJ Deschamps, like in France, who's running that program. So it's it shouldn't be a surprise, especially when you look at the opportunities that are there. Typically, it would have been a surprise if we had seen him leave for. I think it would have been more natural if we had seen him leave for another national team post. But to go to TFC, I mean, immediately you might just think probably just it's funding, probably it's just the opportunity, and he always wanted to get into coaching, so why not let him do that? For him, it's not that far of a move. He gets to do now what he loves and what he's always wanted to do, coach at a club level. Maybe this is the first step for him. With Biello go now in charge, right? Because he's also taking. So that's the thing. The thing that you have to keep in mind is this: John Herdman's also taking assistant coaches Simon Eddy and Eric Tenledu. He's taking Alex Dawson, the head scout, and then head of performance, Dr. Caesar Malin. And now you just have Mauro Biel as the interim coach. It does leave it a little bit interesting. You're growing that up from those going straight from the youth programs. I mean, the U20 programs maybe tells me how I feel about it right now because I think that group underperformed. I do wonder now what this does, especially as they're looking for a new manager. You would like that to be done a little bit quicker. You have games coming up, but also this is a time frame where now you're looking at, especially young dual nationals. If you're Canada, right? Luca Kolyosho, Luc de Fougerolles, players of that nature, player of that, like Daniel Jebison, they're now looking at this program, and it's it's a little bit shaky. And if Canada's not careful, yes, we can always go. This always goes back to the whole conversation of, well, we want players who want to be here. Yes, we know. Also, everyone can see that the house is on fire, sewage is backed up, and we haven't paid our water bill in 3 years. Everyone can see this. So how do we move around with this? Is the question. Whether it's fair or not fair, I could look down to the States and say, well, I mean, they still recruited Florian Balogun without a head coach. So then we should still be looking at that, looking to improve the team as it goes. It does suck that we only have the one friendly to work with now. Because ultimately you have to look at that and move quickly. So what does that do? What type of you need to get a coach? And I wonder how that coach will look at this pool of players. Not just their current players, but this pool of players. Because I do wonder, and I've always said this, I feel that Canada is a lot stronger in their wings than what they call up. But because they play more of that 3-5-2, 5-3-2, wingers don't exist as often. Which I feel, to me, I think the best lineup for Canada is either a 4-2-3-1 or a 3-4-3. But if you're going to play a 3-4-3, you need two midfielders who can properly command the midfield. Do they have that? And potentially Ishmael Kone as well as Stefan Eustáquio? Potentially, yes. But a midfield trio has always seemed like the more optional choice, the more optimal choice, to be honest. So then is it a 4-2-3-1 with two holdings, or a 4-3-3 with a one holding and then two dual eights moving forward, and using that as a strategy to move forward? That'll be interesting. I'm interested to see once we get a coach in, because this will be my conversation when a coach is named. Whether they look in Canada and you look at a coach like Bobby Smyrniotis at Forge FC, or whether they are able to find someone who's able to work. There are a lot of people who look at Canada, because as much as funding is limited, and yes, coaches will want to be paid, they are in the next World Cup. So that does give a bit of a selling feature, though it's like it's a piece of ice cream cake on a 40-degree day, feels like 48 with the Humidex outdoor wedding, right? Ice cream cake is a great idea until you realize that you're standing in a humid August Georgia day. Then you're just like, it's going to melt. So how good is the ice cream cake at this point? So I mean, from a CSA standpoint, they need to get their house in order yesterday, because if not, the degree of their house will determine what type of candidate they can reach in and bring in to take Canada in a very interesting time frame. How they want to play this, how they want to go. But now this also puts recruiting into a very interesting aspect. And I wonder what that does, especially for young duels who are looking and saying, Canada looked like an option. Their coach has just left. Maybe that's the coach that was talking to us. I don't know. That is very interesting to me in terms of what happens next. And the other thing to keep in mind is you have also Copa America coming. So is Canada able to qualify for that without an actual coach? That's a good question. I don't know. Are they going to hope that Biello can just keep the program running and keeping the seat warm, but then keeping the identity of the team working, and then try to qualify? If that's their strategy, I mean, tactically, Biello is part of that tactical team too. So as much as we look at Herdman for the positives, and then we also look at him as for the negatives, could we not do the same thing about Biello and say, look, from the positives, he was part of that squad, but also, at the end, he was part of those decisions. So is this the best interim choice? Maybe. Maybe the devil they know is better than the devil they don't know. We don't know, and we won't know. But I think it certainly now does put Canada's presumed qualifying spot at the Copa America in question, especially off the bat. We'll see. Maybe they'll just out-talent teams. Maybe. But this certainly doesn't make Copa America qualifiers very interesting. very intriguing, and chaotic, because it wouldn't be CONCACAF if it wasn't chaos. We're just going to put this out here. Guys, let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.